And we're live. Hi, everyone. It's your friendly ex-Muslim, Abdullah Samir. And today, I have a lot of drama going on and saw a video that I thought was quite interesting that I thought was worth responding to. I'm going to show you this video and we're going to go through it. But a little bit of backstory before I get into the video. So, if you've been watching and you know what's been going on, there's a lot of chaos here with Mohammad Hijab. He's at the center of this huge drama. So the backstory is that there's a woman he was propositioning for many years, or she was propositioning him. And lo and behold, eventually he did agree to marry her. And then he broke up with her, right? And or you should say rather, she broke up with him. The whole situation felt so slimy when Aisha, she goes by Aisha, not her real name, finally went public with the accusations. In fact, this wasn't her first option. She didn't try to go public right away. She tried to deal with it privately, but it just did not work out. It didn't work out. And she tried, apparently, she spoke to over 100 people. 100, I don't know if these are all imams, but like this has been going on for many years now, right? And it only came to light now when she finally spoke to a man by the name of Salman, who owns a channel called Behind Veils. So Behind Veils, pushed the story large and wide. What happened is, as time has gone on, the story has been developing, and there was some screenshots posted from Aisha herself, right? When I posted those screenshots in an update video, we did an analysis, my wife and I, on the analysis of these text messages, which were really awful text messages. It was, you just couldn't help but feel so bad for her. When we went through the text messages, it got Hijab's attention, and he started implying like I'm some agent. I have some I've been someone's being like leaking the messages to me. It's as if I'm like one of his attempt at making this into some conspiracy that the people out to get him. David Wood and AP talked about the whole Elon Musk threat, veiled Elon Musk threat. He said he was getting a threat from Elon Musk. um but like this does appear, all of this appears to be his attempt, his desperate attempt to try to redeem himself. All he had to do was apologize. All he had to do was say he made a mistake, he was wrong. But his personality just didn't allow him to do that, right? um and anyway, so this is kind of the backstory, the latest, the latest scoop, so to speak. But that's not the point of this live stream. The point of this live stream is to get into two Muslim women were actually defending Muhammad Hijab. They're defending him, and they're defending the religion over this poor woman. And what you're gonna see is you're gonna see them blame her. You're gonna see them blame basically everyone except and everything except Islam, because Islam is perfect and there can't be any problems with Islam, right? So the problem must be with the people, and you're going to hear them say that. It's so awful. I was watching this video with my wife a few minutes ago, and it was so awful, like hearing what they were saying, and I was just like, oh, I got to respond to this. Um, and they kind of like leaked a lot of things, not leaked, but they they told on themselves basically, right? So again, just a little bit of an update first before we get into that. So just to summarize this whole scenario, I don't have any secret access to text messages. No one's leaking messages to me. Like if you go on Muhammad Hijab's Twitter, the same text messages are already there, posted on a reply date, and he knows this. He knows this. He's playing a game with his more dumb, the dumber ones of his followers, where he's trying to make it seem that um, this is some conspiracy to pull him down. Like these people are trying to get him. Like he himself is pulling himself down. He doesn't need Elon Musk or some, like Jewish cabal or something out. There's nothing there. It's just him all on his own doing this and ruining it for himself. And this is a problem with people that have these personality types. I mean, it does appear to be narcissism, right? Like what else could it be that you are clearly in the wrong here on every level, right? Hey, we have Milahan, Philosopher's Corner, saying she was a stalker weirdo. I'm going to get into this claim of theirs, that she was a stalker, and this is the point. One of the points I want to get into. This is actually worth discussing, these comments from Milahan. So educational, focusing on petty drama, gossiping like a lady about female drama. That's a bit misogynistic of you, saying this is like a woman's thing to do gossip. We've clearly evolved. We have a video. My wife and I worked on a video about backbiting and how backbiting actually prevents what is sometimes a very healthy response from a community to gossip. Gossip can actually be a protective factor when you have someone like this who is a woman abuser that's taking advantage of people. Gossip can put an end to that whole thing, right? Because what happens is people are sharing the story, people are talking about what happened, and others get protected by it, right? In this case, we have a systematic failure of the Muslim community to protect this woman, to help this woman. And so it got to the point where just imagine, you are going against Mohammad Hijab. You're a nobody. You're a nobody going against Mohammad Hijab. Do you really think anyone would willingly want to do that? Do you think anyone would willingly want to put themselves through that stress, that pain, that drama? Like, this guy has thugs, he has his cronies, he has people like you defending him, right? And so nobody would willingly want to do this, right? Especially in a high control religion like Islam, where there's very little to gain from this, except if you feel like you're wrong, you're so badly wronged by the situation, you just want to deal with it, and you want to be heard, you want justice, you want your voice to be out there so people can know that this is happening. And this is not the first time things like this happen, right? These things happen. In fact, just recently it happened with this other Dawah boy, Zaid al-Omar, and he got caught as well. So these guys, they, like I said, they tell on themselves, right? And let me just bring up a tweet here where Mohammad Hijab actually admits this, right? He admitted that basically every single one of these Dawah guys, right, has all been involved in polygamy. They've all been, like, he pretty much says 100%. Let's just play the video. Let me know if you have any problems hearing the sound. I'm going to put my headphones on. Let's see if you can actually hear what's going on here. 1 second.
Most of the big names of Dawah have at least done polygamy once. The Du'at, I would say it's about 85%. The women who take it the best are the revert sisters.
It even reaches 50%. In the UK, what percentage of imams and shuyukh and du'at have a second wife? What percentage would you say?
And that's very difficult to know, but that's a difficult one. It depends on what kind of community as well. Like the Asians here, they're not really into it that much. The Pakistanis but the reverts are into it. Like black people are into it here. Not all blacks. Somali uncles are into it. Like a lot of Somalis with it. You'll find like Somalis have a lot. Arabs are into it. North Africans do it. So it depends on, I think a lot of it is to do with like community-based demographics and how the woman will take it. The women who take it the best are the revert sisters. From my experience of observing the situation, I felt it's so every community has their thing, and I think the Pakistanis are the least likely to do it. Like the older generation Pakistanis and Bengalis and stuff, they're least likely to do it. I haven't really seen that many, but now the Salafis are doing it. Salaf Pakistanis are doing it.
Just to be clear, he's at the moment. So Daniel Hakikatu asked him to talk about the du'at, meaning the da'is, the preachers, but instead he decided to respond about the lay Muslims. So he's talking about the lay Muslim community, and he's talking about how many of them have multiple wives, basically illegally in, most likely he's talking about UK, could be talking about America as well. Mainly UK he's focusing on.
Pakistanis are doing. It's more possible in the Salafi communities, I think, than the Deobandi communities and the.
Would you say it's like half? Is it 50% or more?
Who?
Of all shuyukh,
much,
imams, and du'at?
Much less than that.
Much less.
The du'at, I would say it's about 85%.
Well, that's way more than 50%.
No, the dais. Who have
dais, shuyukh, imams. That whole class.
Either who are in it or have done it. The dais that I've come across in like proper mashayikh and stuff like at that level, 80%.
Yeah, that's compared to the US, that's very high. Like I don't think that over here it even reaches 50%.
So people like all the but most of the big names of Dawah have at least done polygamy once. Most of them, if not, like every person that you can think of, like almost the big names and people you wouldn't expect. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's surprising. Some people have like 20 kids.
Wow.
I know there's one guy who I won't mention, very famous guy. He's got 30 kids.
Wow.
Mashallah. That's all they say, mashallah. This doesn't. So what we have here is we have multiple evidences here of the situation of da'is, meaning these scholars are doing. What are these people doing? They're having secret wives. They're having polygamous marriages. Some of them having 20, 30 kids. Like he's telling on himself, right? He's outing these guys. So this is the first thing, right? Second thing is, this is getting, there's a lot of comments already in the chat, which I'm not going to be able to keep up with, but I'm going to try my best. And actually, my plan was to go through something totally different. I wanted to go through this video with the Muslim mom, but people are jumping on and saying that there's, this is not true. And okay, give me a second. So let's go through and see what's the summary of the situation right now before we start jumping into all of these different things. The summary of the situation is we know that one, this is common in the Muslim community among these preachers and scholars. Two, we know these people have a position of authority and they have the ability to get a second wife, secret wives. In fact, as I've been speaking about this and writing about this on Twitter, I had someone messaging me about another Sheikh, Osama. One of those old Salafi preachers that he had, again, is known that he was doing this thing. This is no different than, you find this sort of behavior among celebrities in general, where they have these secret wives. It was not even secret wives. It's just like affairs. But in Islam, it's secret wives, right? I think what's different here, and the reason why I think this connects back to Islam, is because, as we have seen, this is completely permissible in Islam to do these things. And this is where now, when we get into the actual topic, maybe I should just actually try to focus on the topic. You'll see that the situation is that people are defending the system, even though the system has failed women over and over again, right? And I'm struggling to keep up with the comments here. There's so many comments here that I'd love to talk about. Let me just deal with a couple of them, right? Let's deal with a couple of them. Elon Musk has a harem. Elon Musk, being a billionaire, does have massive number of kids, and he has the ability to provide for them. And I'm not justifying what Elon Musk is doing, but in terms of Elon Musk, there's consent. It's a two-way. It's probably a transactional relationship, and there's no dishonesty, or like, these people know exactly what they're getting into when they have a child with a billionaire, right? Ijaz is saying this is a false claim from an unreliable, unwell person. Okay. So, and he's saying I protected you. So there's like a little bit of a backstory here, and the backstory is that I guess I'm going to avoid speaking about the backstory because it involves my now ex-wife, and some of the things she said about me before we got divorced. In fact, yeah, like I'm struggling to know whether I should talk about that, because there's things I know and things that have become like apparent since I've got divorced, where there's been a pattern of using and dishonesty and scamming and grifting, and I don't really want to get into that. So I guess, I will just avoid that topic. But what I will talk about here is this specific issue, and how what we're seeing here is a pattern, and not a pattern. What we're seeing here is that all of the details are basically aligning with what the claim this sister Aisha is making. What she said repeatedly, one time after another, is consistent. There's no how do you say this? When someone's lying, usually they have to change the story, right? Usually they have to adjust the details as they go. But what we see with these text messages, with the details she gave on the interview on Behind Veils, and the details which are now coming out in these new text messages, is all consistent. Every single thing adds up to what she said. And in fact, as we know, Behind Veils is planning to release more text messages where hijab is basically coming out very aggressively and threatening to, making insinuations about like going after this person. Obviously, there's legal threats as well, and all of these things, right? And the Muslim community many people in the Muslim community, it feels like, I don't know what the word to use is, where it's like they believe her, but then they also don't believe her. This video here with the Muslim mom is just, it's basically, how do I say this? It's like they're taking for granted this really happened. They're assuming this is true. And then they actually defend hijab, right? To some extent, and defend Islam. So it does appear that the Muslim community themselves are also like divided on whether this is honest, or whether this is like what exactly is going on here, right? So anyways, let's get into the video then. Let's just see what's happening here. Let's talk about it, because I do think it's worth going through this.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everyone. I hope everyone is well, inshallah. I'm joined by Sister Fahima, who most of you will be quite familiar with, as she has made a habit of going viral for discussing sensible Islamic talking points on certain right-wing news networks. Assalamu alaikum, Sister. Thank you so much for joining me, inshallah. I hope you're well. How are you?
Alaikum salam. Thank you very much. I'm well, and really do appreciate the invitation to speak and be with you today, actually. It's really exciting.
Yeah, I'm really excited that you've come on at such short notice as well. And, we're going to discuss the recent controversy surrounding Mohammad Hijab and a supposed marriage scenario. And the aim, I think, from both of us is not to backbite or gossip or throw him or anyone else under the bus. It's simply to give a Muslim female perspective on the matter in accordance with Islam. So clearing up misconceptions the anti-Islam people have put out there, and just having a general conversation about the scenario and how it affects the woman and how it affects the man. So the scenario is that a Muslim channel representing a sister made a video accusing Mohammad Hijab of initiating a secret marriage. And the sister made claims of unfulfilled promises and misuse of religious rules. And in turn, Mohammad Hijab put a video that claimed the sister involved was a disturbed individual that was obsessed with him and is making exaggerated claims. So from your perspective, what do you make of the recent accusations made against Mohammad Hijab, as well as his response?
Just to give a little bit of background about this Fahima Mohammed, she has a background, a master's in psychology and neuroscience. And to be honest, I was a little bit shocked when I saw what she said, with knowing that she has this background. Like it's very, ask yourself a question, and maybe some people wouldn't know the answer to this. But like, if you were going to a therapist, say you were Aisha, you had this situation happen to you, you feel cheated and whatever, and you are going to talk to a therapist, ask yourself, is this how a therapist should be talking? Is this the thing she should be saying, right? And she has a background in this.
Well, it's really difficult to sort of assess this particular case because we don't know the details, we don't know the genuineness and authenticity of it. I don't think we'll ever know, to be fair. But for me, it just raises a lot of questions around the fact that our Muslim community, again, there's a stain, whether it's right or wrong. We get so much backlashes, which, as me as an individual myself, always fighting against everyone outside the community. So when we have something like this in the community, it does feel really disappointing for many reasons. Again, not even knowing what is the truth or not.
The first thing she's mentioning is a stain on the community when things like this happen. I don't know if that should be the first concern. It should be that a woman was harmed, right? And again, you're going to see them talk as if they believe this is actually something that happened. So if this is something that happened, then you're more concerned about the community looking bad. It's interesting, right?
And again, for me personally, because I worked for many years addressing relationships, whether it was on, sort of live TV. I was, producing and hosting my own show on relationships on British Muslim TV for almost 5 years, and then privately coaching as well, and trained in many ways in which I can actually help people psychologically, well-being, mental health, and things like that. So I unfortunately have come across many cases which is similar. So he's not the last one. He's not the first one.
So this is another example of telling on themselves. This Muslim counselor, I don't know why she calls herself a coach and not a therapist. Maybe because she didn't do her PhD or something and she's not fully available to, she's not legal. I don't know why she calls herself a coach. That's kind of strange. But anyway, so she said in her coaching sessions, she's seen many other cases like this. Many other cases like this. It's not the first. It's not going to be the last. What does she mean by that? What she's talking about is situations where probably secret wives, second wives that the first wife doesn't know about. And it's not going to, she said it's not going to end. Well, we hope it ends, but it's not going to end anytime soon.
And we hope that this is the last one. And that's why I want to discuss this with you, is because we want to just shed light on how things happen in our community. And we all have a responsibility, and we all have to be accountable for when we're putting ourselves out there and doing things, whether it's in public sphere as well as behind the scenes. And first and foremost, regardless of that public figure, as Muslims, we should only be concerned about our Creator first and foremost, and doing everything in light of that. But even knowing that at the same time, we are humans.
So she's saying this gives you a bit of cult vibes when there's a situation like this, and the first thing you say is, I need to be worried about what my Creator says. I need to be worried about what Islam says. Now, that's understandable that if you're in the Muslim community, you're going to think like that, right? She's going to say something else, which I was amazed to hear her say this as well, which was in a similar tone to what she's saying now, which is that Islam tests us. Right? She's going to admit that Islam makes life difficult for Muslim women, and this is a test. And I always wondered, shouldn't Islam make your life easier, not harder? But if it's making your life harder, how is it good for you?
We'll make mistakes, we will fall. And unfortunately, even our own community are the first ones to call out the things that are gone wrong without any sort of understanding, any sort of truth. And we jump on bandwagons.
She's saying our community is the first one. We need to be accountable. We need to be responsible. And our community is the first one to jump. And so do you not, if you want to be accountable, do you not need to call out these wrongdoings when they happen? Why do you call that, jumping on the bandwagon? Unless she thinks it's not true. But again, they're going to continue talking like this is true. And then she's saying, human beings are the ones which are fallible. Islam is perfect. We have to obey the Creator. human beings, and this is true, human beings are fallible people, that you will find people like hijab in other communities. Absolutely, yes. The problem is when it becomes religiously sanctioned, and then you have women defending the man because of the religion and because of his position of authority. He can do no wrong. Now you have a problem. The problem is that you don't want to acknowledge that it's not just a personal failing, but it's a systemic failure of the belief system to protect you and to make you safe and to keep you safe. What is the point of this misyar marriage? What is the point of marriage at all in Islam if a man can, sorry, let's say, what's the point of being the first wife? Never mind misyar marriage. You don't even know him about misyar marriage. You just marry a man. What is the point if he can go behind your back? He does not have to tell you, as hijab has said over and over again. Yasir Qadhi has said, hijab has also said on multiple occasions, there is no, like, it's not recommended, the misyar marriage, but you can go ahead and do it. You can go ahead and do this, like this hookup type relationship. You can go ahead and do this second wife thing. If you're the first wife, what protection do you have that this is not going to happen to you? What is the religion? How does the religion help you? And the funny thing is, before this became public, before I myself didn't know about misyar marriage, I never heard of it. I mean, I heard of it, but I was like, okay, what is this? I don't even know what this is. It sounds like muta or something. Then I was speaking to my new wife, and she actually had someone mention that to her as well, being a misyar wife, a second wife. And then I was like, wow, this actually happens. There's men out there that are, and this, if you think about it, this goes completely against the claims that Islam says that women have equal rights. A second wife has to be treated. The Quran says, marry 1 and 2 and 4, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. Sorry, 2 or 3 or 4, if you can treat them right. That's the way it's usually interpreted. And this is where Muslim scholars and preachers will say, well, look, Islam protects second wives and third wives and fourth wives. They have to be treated equally. And there's even like hadith like that says a man that treats one wife unequally, his face will be like going down or whatever. Yet if you're the first wife, you have no recompense if he goes and gets a second wife or a sex slave from a prisoner of war. There's nothing you can do except you could potentially ask for a divorce, potentially, right? And women in Islam cannot even do that. Women in Islam cannot even ask for divorces. It's only the man's right to give a divorce. A woman has to do a khulla, right? She has to go and she has to ask for a divorce. She has to get permission from the man to let her go. It's almost like she's a slave as well, right? Now, this is kind of, let me continue the video.
And if we have certain maybe egos and certain sort of like maybe experiences with certain people, then we want to obviously, make sure that sort of, if it's a scandal or if it's a story, we want to kind of go on to it in such a way where we want to make it even worse than what it is.
Yeah.
Now, this particular case, if it's been a secret marriage, for me personally, whether you believe in it or not, I have had cases where both men and women have come to me, whether it's complaints, majority of the time it is, especially from a woman's perspective if they've entered into it. And there are also, even though it's controversial, where it's actually worked for women. And it takes a certain type of woman and it takes a certain type of scenario where it can actually work, whether you agree with it or not. So that's why I come from it from a professional point of view and an understanding that it is not for everyone. It's not really something that is promoted, nor is it something that everyone can actually handle no matter what. Now, this was a secret.
This is a point that I don't think they understand the implications of what they're saying. If secret marriages are so bad, they're so awful for the woman, they always fall 90% of the time plus, or 80%. Yasir Qadhi said in his misyar video, which I did the response to, it falls apart. It's bad for the woman. She's going to end up heartbroken. Yet the religion allows it. Why does the religion allow it if it's so bad? Who benefits from the situation? Who benefits from this situation? The man. The man benefits. the man is not the one complaining. Usually it's a woman complaining. Now, if you didn't have all of these hang-ups about sex before marriage, then you probably would have, people that could explore different types of relationships on consent, and that might be better for them. For example, there are single Muslim women that wouldn't mind having a casual relationship with a man. And this is how you build your trust in people, is you can get to know them. You can have you don't have to jump into a marriage, right? You can get to know them, right? But those options are off the table. And what that means is the only way to do this is to have this misyar marriage thing, where, in again, a few small cases, women do take advantage of that situation, right? Where it becomes like some sort of like casual thing. But this is not the majority. The majority end up being doom and gloom for the woman.
Marriage, as it was said. So if you start, no matter what. Now, this was a secret marriage, as it was said. So if you start secretly, I firstly think you should end it in that way. And
this is a Muslim counselor, right? This is a professional that studied psychology, that is a coach for people. And she's saying, if you started it secretly, you should keep it secretly. What about the first wife? Does she not have a right to know that this slime ball is going behind her back and having secret second wives? If this was actually not the situation, that would be different. If she knows about it, that's a different scenario. The implication here is that she doesn't know about it. And she's saying it should be secret, it should stay secret.
And the people that you consulted with, like this particular person who said that they did get the permission from their dad, I would be first and foremost upset with that person who gave the guidance and gave the go-ahead. And there's so many questions that I have in between that would say that this can still be resolved quietly, privately, between the people that were actually involved.
I don't think it's even possible at this point, or I don't think it was possible. This thing has been going on for many years. If you look at, this is not, you can't see that now, but this has been going on for multiple years. All of the text messages we saw started in, I think, 2021, January to December, where the situation was, at this point, she was, assuming that the text messages that Hijab showed are complete, which we don't know for sure, right? She was chasing him and he was responding. He was saying, mashallah. There are times where in the text messages, it shows a bunch of messages from her, and then he sends her an address for a session at a mosque that went on for 6 weeks. It was some usul fiqh thing. This thing was going on between them. Clearly, he was calling her. She asked, can I call you today? He said, not today. They were communicating. So let me ask you a question. If Hijab knows this woman is interested in him, and he himself uploaded this screenshot, so we know there's a real connection, there was a real communication, and he knows this woman is interested in him, and he's telling her at this time, back in 2021, I'm not interested, maybe, let's say, and, you should marry this other guy instead. God knows if this guy was good or bad. My wife had people suggested to her from imams that were convicts, people that wanted like a green card. These are some of the people that are recommended. They go from person to person to person. Multiple people recommended the same person to her because he was known in the community as he goes to the mosque. Like, anyways, we don't know this 28-year-old Tunisian who he supposedly knew for 20 years. So he knew since he was 8 years old that he recommended to her to marry. We don't even know if this guy was good looking, whether he had a job. We don't know. The fact is, she was interested in Hijab. She looked up to him as a leader of the Muslim community, a giant of the Dawah, which they're going to talk about. They're going to blame her for this, right? He was in a position of authority over her, in my opinion. And she was willing to accept him as a second wife. but not as a use me for sex wife, right? She made it very clear in her interview what she was looking for. She was accepting of being a second wife, meaning part-time wife, every other night or whatever, but also like a true relationship where he would meet her family, like they would be like actual. And in fact, that's not what he wanted at all. What he wanted was he didn't want her family involved. He didn't want to meet her family. He didn't want to even he didn't even want her to tell them that he was married. He said this should stay a secret. So let's continue and see what they have to say.
Because bringing it out in public, I don't understand why that would actually help anyone.
It helps people to know to stay away from this person. This person used and abused her. This person lied and deceived and was dishonest, right? And at the end of the day, don't you want people to know what your preachers are doing behind closed doors? The reason why you have psychopaths in communities, especially in bigger communities, and they get away with it over and over again, is because the community is so large and people don't get to know. In this case, gossip can save the community from a lot of pain. Knowing that this guy's a womanizer, knowing this guy is doing all of these things to women over and over again. In fact, this was not his first polygamous marriage, right? And when she said you should have just kept it a secret, well, she tried. She spoke to over 100 people, according to her, right? And who are you protecting by keeping it a secret? Who are you protecting, Fahima?
Even if you feel that it's going to maybe expose someone to make them not do it, I've known cases that, we've seen people that have been exposed before. There's always going to be someone on their side and always going to do something where, in the future, someone's going to probably still have their back or continue with another relationship.
Wait. You're saying you shouldn't expose bad people because they're going to have someone on their side anyway, and someone's going to take their side and they're going to find someone. What the heck? What the heck is she saying? She just said you shouldn't expose them because they're gonna have friends anyways, and they'll what? This is like a person that helps women, helps Muslim couples.
They're always the one that's going to be. He's still going to be someone on this. I've known cases that I don't understand why that would actually help anyone. Even if you feel that it's going to maybe expose someone to make them not do it.
Yes.
I've known cases that, we've seen people that have been exposed before.
Okay.
There's always going to be someone on their side and always going to do something where.
Well, then you expose them again and again and again.
In the future, someone's going to probably still have their back or continue with another relationship.
Sounds like you have.
They're always the one that's going to be the one it's not going to happen to you. So, that's how it works. So I don't know what the intention is.
The intention is to expose harm doing and to right a wrong.
For bringing this out. And I don't see any kind of.
The reason she's saying this, let's be honest. The reason she's saying this is because she wants to protect Mohammad Hijab.
Way that it would actually make any party to actually resolve anything, to actually learn anything, because we all know what is right and wrong, and
we all know what's right and wrong. So if someone does something wrong to someone else, we shouldn't talk about it because we all know what's right and wrong. What?
We need to hear stories like this that has been in a secret way, because at the beginning, if you felt that it was right, you didn't go out there and say anything like you would in a normal marriage where you would celebrate and everyone knows about it. So if you've done it in secret, keep it secret from me.
She wanted to celebrate. She wanted to go meet his family. He didn't want to pay for a marriage. Sorry, like a marriage ceremony. He didn't want to celebrate this. He said, I'll meet your dad later because I have personal things going on right now. Then later on, he said, I don't want to meet him. Later on, he said, I don't want to meet your family. How is she condoning secret marriages? How is this Muslim counselor condoning secret marriages? Fahima, you want Muslim men having secret marriages and not talk about that? I worry about your female clients. I worry if you think that this should not be exposed and these things should continue to happen, I deeply worry for you and your community. I can't understand she's saying this with a straight face. There's only one reason why. Because she wants to defend Islam and hijab.
Beginning to end, regardless of the outcome. That's what I first and foremost believe. And I honestly think that this is just really unnecessary to be out in the public in the first place.
Yeah, and I do agree with you in that way. Like, if you're
this comment right here, I didn't take it off the screen because it applies to the whole video. Wonderful comment from Mina.
Doing this in secret to start with, whether you know or don't know, you eventually did find out it was started in secret from what she has said herself. So yeah, keep it that way, and there's no need to go public. I think if the accusations on both...
These are women. You're supposed to be on her side. You guys are women saying this. How are you saying this? This reminds me of when Muslim women do FGM to other Muslim women. Oh my God, this is so painful. This is so painful to watch.
Sides are true, then we can say mistakes have been made on both sides. And
mistakes have been made on both sides. What mistake did she make other than trusting this guy?
we have to remember, Muslims, just like people from any other religious group, we're only human. There have been instances where men have misused their religion to pursue worldly desires. Yes, they have been.
Like this one?
And there will be cases where the same applies to some women also. But this has no bearing on the religion of Islam as a whole.
Yes, it does.
Human beings are fallible.
Yes, it does. It has everything to do with Islam. Look what you're saying. If you guys were Christian and you believed in one man, one woman, would you be saying this? This is adultery in other religions, what he did. This should have been considered zina, fornication. And they're saying... This is a problem doing YouTube for me. The problem is that I have to watch this stuff. It's so painful. It's so awful to hear women say these things. I'm like dying inside here.
We have to be clear that I want to make it clear that no actual criminal activity took place, like is being suggested by some of the anti-Muslim crowd.
This was a confusing comment to me. I haven't heard anyone say that this was a criminal act, more that this was a moral failing. So I don't know why she's saying that. It seems like a straw man to me, other than the fact that bigamy is a crime. Getting a second wife without... You're not allowed to have a second wife.
It could be said there is a concern for immoral motives, but we don't have confirmed evidence of that sort that would be presented in a Sharia court.
She just told on herself again. We don't have anything that could be confirmed that was wrong in a Sharia court. Did you catch that? This is a very important point that she just made. I'm just going to rewind it.
There is clear that I want to make it clear that no actual criminal activity took place, like is being suggested by some of the anti-Muslim crowd. It could be said there is a concern for immoral motives, but we don't have confirmed evidence of that sort that would be presented in a Sharia court. I also want to make it clear that Mohammad Hijab...
Because in a Sharia court, this would have been completely okay, right? Like what she did is completely okay in a Sharia court. Like let's pause there. Both of you said this doesn't make Islam look bad. This is hijab. If hijab did it, which they don't want to admit, this is his fault. He's the one who's responsible for this. He's the one that made the situation yeah, he's a bad guy, whatever. Like they don't even want to say that, but they want to say that, you know, people are fallible. People are fallible. They're making excuses for him. Yet now she's admitting this is actually a problem with Islamic law. This is not a problem with anything. He did nothing wrong. He did nothing wrong. This is crazy. And I just want to say thank you to super chat here from Nadia Martinova. I already asked previously in comments. I'll ask here again. Why do you guys think Muhammad Hijab's not just giving her the money as she asked? Why do you guys think Hijab is rich, poor? Hijab is, I would suspect, is very well off. And the reason he didn't want to give her money, if that's what she wanted, I mean, I think if you ask me, I think what she wanted was not very much at all. I think what she wanted was acknowledgement that she was wronged, maybe some sort of financial settlement, because she literally married the guy on like in a deceptive way. He married her in a deceptive way. So she was duped out of that, right? She slept with the guy. So she's going to feel used, right? She's going to feel like she's being wronged because none of what she wanted a husband that was going to provide for her. She wanted a husband that would be like part of the family, that would take care of her, spend time with her, not just want to sleep with her. And this might have solved the problem. Like, if you ask me, all Hijab should have done this privately, like they said, and he should have settled it with her in whatever way that he needed to settle it. Because but the reason Hijab did not want to do that, if you ask me, is because he's a narcissist. He thinks he can do whatever he wants and get away with it. He can threaten her, call her arrogant woman, liar, arrogant woman. I'm going to tell people you couldn't satisfy me in bed. I'm going to, basically, he's like, you know, veiled threats against Salman and her probably too, right? All of this harm has come to her. He mentioned her real name too, even though she's using a pseudonym, right? Which again confirms this is like a real thing, like a real situation here, right? And all of this, why? Because of his personality. He just thinks he even tweets on Twitter, I'm a giant, right? When you come after a giant, you know, you're gonna fall hard as well. He thinks he's untouchable because he's a lion of Allah and people love him, and he debates the enemies of the, you know, and the people are leaving Islam en masse. This guy is like one of the only people that's responding to apostates and whatever, right? And Christian apologists, and he's a lion of Allah according to them. So, and he thinks that too. He believes this. He believes he's untouchable, which is why he's done the things he's done, you know, he gets away with over and over again. That's all he had to do, but he just couldn't do it, right? He just could not do it, right? So, yeah.
Hijab is not a prophet. We have to make that clear. He's not a prophet, he's a man.
You know, your own prophet did worse than Muhammad Hijab, right? So being a prophet doesn't actually help his case here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Muhammad Hijab is following his prophet in the same way that his prophet did the same things. Like, for example, you know, the story of Maria the Copt, you know, he was having sex with her without his wives like liking it or appreciating it. The fact that he would continue taking sex slaves, the most prettiest of them, you know, the most prettiest of the, like, basically the booty of war. He would take his pick, right? Rehana and others. So this whole situation, the whole misyar marriage, nobody can say it's haram, because in Islam, Muhammad himself did misyar marriage. And the way he did it is he agreed, and of course she didn't have much of a choice, but he agreed with Sauda, or Sauda agreed to allow him to give away his nights, take away her nights, and sleep with his child bride, Aisha, instead, right? And so because Muhammad did this, Muhammad Hijab can also do it, and no one can say anything, right? No one can say anything, because this is exactly what happens in Islam. Like, Muhammad did it, so how can anyone make a haram? You cannot. So they might say it's like, you know, it's going to cause harm and this and that. But if Muhammad, the prophet of Allah, the perfect man, was doing this by example, giving an unfair, unequal treatment to his wives, this is evidence for Muslims that misyar marriage is okay, right? And Killa 3, thanks for the super chat, says, long-time viewer, loving the work by yourself and your spouse. Do you feel this is more rampant given how much Muslim men and women rallied for Andrew Tate type of men? Yeah, that's a good question. This sort of like, defending these type of men, it leads to outcomes like this. This is the type, and it's funny that in the interview that Aisha did, she said that Mohammad Hijab attacked Red Pill, but he seems like one of these Red Pill type of guys himself, right? Which again might have been a dishonesty from Hijab to her, right?
And if he does or says something, it doesn't represent every Muslim. The anti-Islam people are using this inconclusive scenario as some sort of gotcha moment against this.
How is this an inconclusive scenario, right? We have Zayd al-Omar who did the exact same thing, right? He did this misyar marriage. Muhammad Hijab admitted in that tweet that there is so many Muslims with polygamous marriages, second wives, misyar marriages, that we, this is, it's just crazy to me that these people, oops, let me pause this. It's so crazy to me that these people can say these things, knowing that these things happen over and over in the community. That I'm going to share the misyar marriage, the other misyar marriage video, and this has nothing to do with Islam. Okay, sure.
Islam. But if you were to look at some of these individuals' browser histories, or even in some cases their past, it's clear that those that are circling like vultures to pass.
If you look at Muhammad Hijab's browser history, true, I'd wonder, because the whole thing with the golden showers and GIMP, and most of us were like Googling what is he saying, to like David Wood. He was posting these things on his live chat, like these like disgusting things, and it's like, how is this an argument that you're making? You're comparing pornography, right? So she's saying some of these Muslim men, and by the way, women too, that are complaining about hijab, look at the browser histories. How do you compare someone watching pornography to deceiving, abusing, and cheating a woman out of her, into a relationship that was one-sided? This is those two things are not equal at all.
Pass judgment are not people that are a beacon of morality themselves. They would have us believe that all of a sudden these
Well. Do we need to be beacons of morality to call out a wrongdoing that is happening? Do you need to be a beacon of morality to call out a wrongdoing that's happening in the community? What happened to being just? What happened to speaking the truth even against yourself? What happened to like standing up for the rights of the oppressed? It's all just superficial platitudes, isn't it? You don't actually believe in any of this stuff. You don't believe that you should stand up for, oppressed women and this and that. It's just you just don't want to hear anything against your leaders and your community.
To using this inconclusive scenario as some sort of gotcha moment against Islam. But if you were to look at some of these individuals' browser histories, or even in some cases their past, it's clear that those that are circling like vultures to pass judgment are not people that are a beacon of morality themselves. They would have us believe that all of a sudden these ex-Muslims, Christian apologists, and feminists who hate Islam, and have also ridiculed Muslim women in the past, are suddenly concerned about Muslim women. They're not. It's
there was an interesting comment that David Wood left on the video, the Behind Veils video, and I'll see if I can just find it quickly. And it was actually a really nice comment that my wife noticed, and I want to share it. So let me just bring it up on the screen, because I thought, he's saying these people don't actually care. I hope he didn't delete the comment. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, well, I'll ask let's see. Okay, I can't find it right this moment. Oh, here we go. I think I found it. Okay, here we go. I found, no, that's not the one. David Wood, where are you? David Wood. Okay, so I found another comment I'll read, which I thought was interesting, which was from my wife while I look. Okay, so I'm just going to share this. So this is a video called My Apology regarding Mohammad Hijab. So this is actually funny. He said he wanted to apologize, which was kind of a clickbait because he's not apologizing, right? And let me just read the comment, which I thought was interesting. Okay, I just finished watching and it seems as though both of us have come to a similar analysis of hijab's tactics and behavior. I found your channel through the algorithm many months ago and I can't say how needed this type of work is. No one else will step up and confront the rot of what is happening in the Dawah world in regard to Muslims. When I was still Muslim, I found it nearly impossible to have conversations about the wrong I witnessed and the things that bothered me. I have stories I would love to tell, but maybe one day. As a woman who was once part of this religion, I have a lot of respect for what you're doing. Your community needs more whistleblowers like you instead of cowering in a corner, worrying about backbiting. Yeah, this is one of the problems. I never understood that. People would rather be silent witnesses to wrong before they would even utter a word of disagreement or disgust with one of their own. So unfortunately, it appears that David's comment may have been either hidden or yeah, I guess he probably I'll just summarize the comment, right? Since I can't find it, it's not here. Maybe it's because it was one of the first comments and maybe he didn't hide it. Let me see, sort by top comments. Basically what he said, if I can summarize it, was, you know, I had a narcissist, I think he said my mom had a narcissistic man that she was with in a relationship, and this man was so controlling and so abusive, and you know, so he said, I see the pattern and I respect you as a man that you are standing up. He's talking about, just to be clear what I'm talking about here, so no one gets confused, right? He's talking about this guy Salman, and he's saying, I respect you as a man, David Wood said this, for standing up against this, like, this behavior, this narcissistic abuse. And you know, this is something that we can relate to. So, you know, they're saying, oh, these people don't care about women and this and that. I think we actually do care about women, and actually we don't. This is why we speak about these things, right? It's because these things are bad for humanity, right? They're awful. And basically, this man that David talked about unalived himself to make his mother never forget him. Like that's how bad the narcissism can be, right? Anyways, let's continue.
Simply an opportunity for them to bash their religion. You know, so as I said,
I would, you know, what's funny? It's like as if we need like opportunities to bash the religion. The religion, it's like Muhammad Hijab, like blaming someone else again. You make it too easy. You, as in your religion, makes it too easy. It just makes it, it's just there. It has so many problems. It's just like ongoing source of things to talk about because it's so awful.
Earlier, various claims have been made on both sides, and you sort of mentioned it in terms of, you know, the sister. But in your opinion, how has the sister involved? How is she also at fault?
You know, I'll have to bring on my coaching cap right now, because at the
okay, so now comes the victim blaming.
At the end of the day, as a professional, generally, we don't really go with anyone's narrative. I ask tough questions and we analyze what has been said and done. And there's a lot of missing things from the sort of a quick sort of recap of listening to what was said in those videos. He was approached at the beginning, you know, she was approached and it didn't work out. Then he disappeared without anything and then came back apparently. And immediately she was actually quite happy to continue with that, even though it wasn't really like what she wanted, and she had the go ahead from her dad. To me, that's quite confusing.
The story goes that they were planning to have a marriage and the dad got involved, and the dad told him, Hijab, that my daughter and her child, the package deal, they come together, and are you going to take care of both of them? And then he disappeared. He ghosted her, right? So this, again, we what we know is Hijab showed a bunch of messages where she was pursuing him, and then he stops. And then he doesn't show us what happened after that. So during this moment of time, they were talking, they were having conversations. Eventually it got to the point where he probably felt, I can either use this woman, get what I want. She's desperate, she's vulnerable, she has a child in the community, she's a child, she finds it very difficult to find someone good, right? Which is, again, another Muslim counselor said the same thing, Gabriel Al-Romani. We have a video, Muslim counselor 15, he said, in 15 years of doing this work, nobody wants to marry Muslim widows, and especially single moms. And yes, this happens with non-Muslims, but not to the same extent. The culture in Islam is a culture of this purity culture, I put in quotation marks, where they expect women to be virgins. It's like a big feature in Islam more than in other religions, right, and other communities. And he said, like, non-Muslims, I know many non-Muslim men, they marry single moms. They'll marry single moms. They don't have a problem with that. But Muslims, no. They want to have this young virgin woman, right? And you know what the irony is? Fahima Mohammed, she herself is a single mom. And you're going to hear her talk about how she's kind of like, you're going to hear the cope from her, how she just accepted that this is going to be her lot in life.
It's like you've seen a red flag and you've literally gone behind it.
Oh yeah, let's laugh at her. Oh, ha ha ha. She saw a red flag and she went ahead. Like, where's your empathy? You know what bothers me about this whole part of the conversation? They're both talking about her as if it was just two random people in the Muslim community. It wasn't Mohammad Hijab and some like woman. No, it was like two random people in the Muslim community that, she was dating. It's like one of her friends was dating some guy and she saw some red flags. If this was her friend, would she laugh like that? Ha 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 ha, my friend, she saw a red flag and she still went ahead. Oh, she's so dumb. Like, these pathetic people. And it's not like there's like a reputational issue here that this guy is like well known in the community and nobody warned her. It's not like it's even worse because of the fact that this is Mohammad Hijab. And so because it's Mohammad Hijab, nobody defended her or took her side. One by one, they all took his side, which is what made it even worse.
No, literally, I can't think of anything else, really. It's like if someone was to have a business deal, for example, buying a car or a house, everything has to be put in place before you give that person the key, even if they're going and, seeing and viewing it. You view it with somebody. You don't go and view a car by yourself. You don't drive it by yourself. You don't go see a house by yourself. You don't get the keys until everything is sealed and everything is done. And if it's for your own self.
She's talking about marriage as if she's a used car and or buying a house and, don't give him the keys until you do this and do that. Like,
it should be 10 times more. That's how I would say it. And I just think that sometimes we overlook things, especially as women, because, and I'm not going to say, because of emotion and vulnerability. I don't like to use that excuse anymore. We're in a world where we live, we work, we're in the society, especially in the UK and the West, where we are outspoken and we are exposed to so many things that.
In the UK and the West, you're outspoken. Was that a compliment? Was that praise towards the West? I think the things they say, they just keep telling on themselves. I guess in Pakistan you can't be outspoken, right? Or Yemen or whatever, right? Dubai, or maybe Dubai is not as bad, but
even our children are seeing more than us. So what excuse do we have? There is no such thing as not having the knowledge and being naive or just trusting people's word. It doesn't matter to me, even if you're a doctor. People go.
This is a Muslim therapist or whatever counselor blaming her for saying she had no excuse. She should have known better. She should have seen the red flags. It's all her fault, basically, right?
Or even still go and check things out. So even if it's someone, I think we do get carried away. We don't have rock stars and maybe pop stars that we follow. But sometimes we maybe unconsciously probably admire people more than we should, that we do give them a free pass to a certain extent and just trust on their word and what other people say. To me, that's still not enough. You have to do your due diligence in many ways and areas. Like I said,
she's actually saying good things here now. You need to do due diligence. You can't just, you know, blindly believe, trust people like hijab. She doesn't say like hijab, but you can't basically trust people because they have a good reputation. Yeah, these are good. She's saying some good things.
You know, someone can look at that house, it's pretty from the outside, it's got great decoration, the walls, there's always cracks, there's always foundations even. That's why you have to see the planning. You have to get the, you know, I used to do conveyancing in a law firm as well. So there's so much more than just the kind of furniture and the decoration. And it's the same thing with a person. Even someone's saying that, oh yeah, I've seen the neighbors live there before and they were really nice. And I'm just using analogies here because I think it's the best way that people can read.
Isn't the fact that she got her dad involved, she knows about this guy, has a good reputation in the community, she like had obviously a long period of communication with him, which it's haram, but technically like she did get to communicate. I'm wondering, what did she do wrong here? What red flags are so obvious? Like this is some funny comments. I just gotta have to like, this is why you vet people before you help them, before you pay them to help you. Someone with a license would never last talking like this to clients. Yeah, like she's going online blabbing to the community, victim blaming, right? And this person says she must have got some license in the UK. I've never heard actual professional talk like this, right? Like it's gaslighting. It's oh my god, like why do these ladies spend so much time trying to defend the worst people in the community? Yes. Why? Why are you doing this?
Really sort of understand that, you know, this is a really serious situation that you put yourself out there. So you need to take 10 times more care. And when you've got children, there is no being vulnerable. It means that you actually more tough. I know I'm a single mom. So, you know.
Wow, single mom that has no empathy for a fellow single mom that got cheated, tricked, used, abused, no financial support, no basically emotional support, basically called arrogant and liar and threatened. And she's a fellow single mom. Now you're gonna hear the cope from her about why she's a single mom.
Speaking from experience, and even though, okay, my character, everyone will say like I might scare people generally, and not everyone's like me, but that's beside that. I know that when you become on your own and you are looking after someone else solely and you're responsible, it does have a turn a switch within you. So for someone to just come in and say whatever they say, and for you to just go for that, it's not enough for me. Because I think that you need to take extra care, double locks on your door before you actually open it. That's how I feel. And the impact is huge because you're not doing this by yourself anymore. You're doing it because if you're putting your children first, you don't take chances, you don't take risks.
Genius woman. Like the beautiful, you know, intelligent advice. You're a mom, so you gotta be careful who you marry. Do they even hear themselves? This is Mohammad Hijab that she was marrying. Oh my god, like she did everything right, in my opinion, that she should have done. She got her dad involved. She did her due diligence on hijab. And after all that, it's still her fault.
And those risks are very much, the assessment needs to be a lot more tougher. Okay, it needs to be a lot more different. And at the moment, I'm coaching the most challenging people because I work at the Ministry of Justice and I coach people that are in probation, that have come out of prison, ex-offenders. We do our own risk assessments when we do certain things. So for me, it's like, you know, I've been in situations that I've learned and studied over the last 10 years in training and understanding human mind and behavior and going to so many situations that I'm sorry, even if you haven't done what I've done, you just know, and looking at the world around you, you know, having a public sort of name and figure is not enough. Having trust with just someone's word is not enough. I just feel that, you know, we need to take responsibility.
Well, what would have been enough? I think what would have been enough is, well, first of all, the system that allows this, right? So only in Islam do you pursue married men. Okay, so I guess to some extent we can say, like, you know, she knew she was getting into a polygamous marriage, but even then, Muslim women are told, all of them and Muslim men are told, that Islam is just, that even in polygamy, women have rights, they're treated as equals, and you know, this is on the day of judgment, you'll be held accountable if you don't treat one of your wives equal, and don't marry unless you can treat them, like all of these things that they're taught. They think, probably slightly delusionally, that this is going to be a happy ending. The system that they believe in, now this is, of course, they're never going to say this. Why would they say this? Why would they why they're telling on themselves, but why would they admit Islam as a system is flawed, that it allows you to actually do this? They're not going to admit it. So they're going to blame her.
An accountability as women to self-guard ourselves first and learn, you know, to protect ourselves. Yes, the Quran and Islam is perfect, but humans are not. And it's not practiced in a perfect way,
perfect,
like
yeah.
you mentioned.
It's perfectly awful. That's what it is.
So I feel that even though we want these kind of men to protect us and do things for us, we have to be able to do that for ourselves first. We have to be able to see boundaries and set boundaries. We have to be able to learn how to look after ourselves so that we don't even rely and put ourselves in those vulnerable situations. So that
putting yourself in a vulnerable, how do you expect her to get married? Is she going to be single like you? How is she going to find someone if she doesn't take a risk? She's saying don't put yourself in a vulnerable situation. Okay, so just be single your whole life, right? Tenshi Kurai, thank you for the super chat. I can't believe this life coach is unaware. She's literally passing the blame to the woman using her innocence as cause. Yeah. She's basically, and Simon says, she's basically saying that hijab, one of the most prominent Islamic apologists, is no good. And if the lady had done her due diligence, she would have known. How would she know? I'm not understanding, right? Like, girl, what did you study? Who allowed you to walk that stage? Why, Jen says, why is his dishonorable behavior acceptable? It's, yeah. Not one word against hijab other than he's a fallible human. He's not a prophet. It's all her. She should have done her due diligence. She should have known better. She shouldn't be allowing him to open the lock of the door without doing due diligence. You have to be extra careful if you're a single mom. Like, it's all her. It's all woman's fault. Woman's blame.
That we can actually come out of it even better. So again, I like to talk about this in general terms because I want people to take away from the fact that
she doesn't want to talk about it in specific terms because she doesn't want to blame hijab for anything, but she'll blame her for everything.
Think twice. Think 10 times before you make a choice with something like this. And if you've got family advising you in this way, I wouldn't be afraid of anyone else to be annoyed with. I'll go back to those people that gave you that guidance because that guidance doesn't sound right. And for me, there's a lot of missing information.
Sorry, my computer was doing some whizzing sound. My computer was making so much noise while you were doing. I don't know what was happening. I do agree with most of your points. I do. And I think that you're right that as women, we are past the time where we can be victims, unfortunately. And I know that people won't like me saying that, but it's the truth. And I think you're right. And if you have a child, and I have 2 children, and God forbid, if something happened between us, I would imagine that if you're going into a marriage for a second time, you would be 100% more, you nitpick everything, right? The smallest thing, because if you've been in a marriage, you know what it requires, the issues that it would involve, especially if that marriage is broken down, you'd be looking to make sure that that didn't happen again. And like you said, the biggest red flags possible, why would you ignore them when you have a daughter? And she did say in the video that she trusted this man because of
this man. They won't even say his name. These women will not even say his name. Trusted this man. Why didn't you say it? You trusted Mohammad Hijab.
Of his standing within this community, right?
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, very funny. Let's laugh at her again. for trusting Mohammad Hijab.
Right? And
because the only reason is there's a lot of people that have an amazing public sort of, space where they have these followers. They are, sort of, kind of followed to an extent where I think they are given a status and a pedestal which is not deserving, because we shouldn't do that first and foremost because of that. It's not about, the character. It's about the behavior behind closed doors. And from what we've seen, even in the first instance, that was a big, big red flag. And I'm by.
Okay, just going to pause for a second. Thank you for the super chats that are coming in. Itinerary. Nadia Martinova, I'm so annoyed with this Fahima. She, of all people, to understand sometimes your due diligence can fail. Could she say something as real, concrete steps as check of man? Like what are the concrete steps of due diligence that you're expecting her to do that you think she didn't do? Like, what exactly did she not do that you think she need? Like, list it out. Ask about him in the community. Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. No shit, he's a good guy. What is the due diligence that she missed? I'd love to know. She's saying she missed red flags. I'm curious to know what those red flags were. Like, Mohammad Hijab is red flags? Why don't you just say that out? Like, you guys keep saying this man. Say it bluntly. Mohammad Hijab has red flags. You shouldn't be trusted. They won't say it. They're saying it without saying it. And again, all those Muslims that jumped on the stream at the beginning saying this is lies, she's mentally deranged, and this is not true, and she just wanted him, and blah 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 blah, and she tried to trick all those people that jumped on the stream. They probably left now. It seems like they believe the story is true, right? They seem to believe this actually happened.
Are not victim blaming here.
Yes, you are.
We are analyzing it from Muslim women perspective, because we are Muslim women who need to sort of step outside our realm to protect ourselves first.
Yeah. It's not the man's fault. Yeah, from Muslim women's perspective, we need to protect ourselves. No, it's not the religion. It's not the system. It's not the mosque. It's us. We need to protect ourselves. Why would we blame Mohammad Hijab? But why would we blame a man? It's all our fault. Like, she knows where she fits in Islam.
To know that when we are entering certain things, we are also responsible as adults, mature. And at the same time, we cannot just, when things don't go our way, we have to backtrack on that sort of trust between two people, because this maybe could have been reconciled even if it was private and kept private.
How do you reconcile with someone that calls you a liar and arrogant and basically threatens you that he is going to slander you and say you're no good in bed, and that's why he divorced you? Like, how do you just said red flags. Oh, you missed the red flags. But you guys could have dealt with it privately. I have dealt with the most high conflict person in my I've dealt with someone extremely high conflict in my past, to the point that so many thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in court were wasted, right? Because this person wouldn't want to budge on the smallest things. You're saying she missed all the red flags, yet you think she can deal with someone like this? How would you privately deal with someone like we've all been saying this? The reputational damage, his image, his brand, his reputation, all of that has been harmed by this whole situation. He should have dealt with it privately. He should have given her whatever she wanted, at least apologize. The Imam should have taken her aside and said this was Islamically. They can't say it's Islamically wrong, because it's not. And of course, who are they going to support? Right? Like when Imam Nick exposed the situation in the mosque where child abuse was happening, they kicked him out of the mosque. Yasir Qadi, Yasir Biljas, all these people, they didn't support him, right? Imam Nick, we have a video on Imam Nick as well. My wife is the one that brought this up and told me about this situation. I didn't even know about it. And then we have Justin Parrott. He's another Yaqeen Institute scholar that was also kicked out of the community because he said he basically went against the Dawah gang as well. You can't go against the Dawah gang. These guys are untouchable in your community. Yet you're blaming her.
There could have been even, some resolutions to this. Now there's just no going back. It's just enemies. And if anything, it's broken homes beyond the home, because it affects both parties, with their families, with people that we don't know of, but it will affect them amongst their community and home. And for me, that bothers me more, because maybe two people can, get out into a different relationship and situation, and it is harder for women, and regardless if she's concealed or not. But I do feel that the impact is huge. If something is secret, done in secret, keep it like that from beginning to end.
Let's again, after blaming her, after not even using hijab's name, after saying it's her fault, she shouldn't have let him in, blah blah blah. They're again saying keep it secret. Keep it secret. Don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone what this great guy did. Yet you're saying she should have asked people for help, and she should have done her due diligence. How is anyone going to do due diligence if you tell them to also shut up when something like this happens to them? Yeah, women, if you're abused and you're taken advantage of, don't tell anyone, because it's a secret marriage. We don't want it. We don't want that going public. But also, you should be asking people. Well, how are they going to ask it? How are they going to find out if this is how you? Oh man, these people are nuts.
Yeah, the fact that it has been made so public, it just makes it really messy. And I do want to discuss. I want to talk about, and I want to be clear. We're not putting Muslim sisters down. We're not putting Muslim women down. But I think sometimes women need to know, in a stern tone, that you have to take accountability for your actions. You have to be smart. You have to pick yourself up if things do go wrong. And I think this whole, it's okay, you've been so bad, the man's a bad man, and you've been hurt so badly. No, stand up, don't give up, keep going. And I want to talk about that, and I want to continue to have that conversation. I just want to clear up a couple of things that were said if people don't know. From Mohammad Hijab's video, it seems the sister has a lot of resentment from.
Okay, so now, after when I first watched this video, I thought they don't actually know what's going on, do they? Because they're making a lot of assumptions. They're saying a lot of things about this woman. Maybe they never watched her video. But now she admits she watched the video, so she knows what happened. Yet now she's gonna, okay, let's hear her blame her again.
What I'd seen. The claim was made that she was asking God to curse his children and praying that he got cancer. And from her video accusing him, she claims he wasn't honest in his.
Okay, well, we're going to pause it for 1 second. Late Night Keju gifted 1 friendly Muslim membership. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. This is now her talking about the bad things that she did. So when it says she cursed his kids or whatever, I don't know if this is part of the Mubahala thing that's happening, which is that so basically, I don't know if you guys know about this, but this woman, Aisha, has said that there's a thing in Islam. It's so hilarious and dumb, but I'll just tell you how it works. Basically, it works that when there's a dispute between husband and wife, Muhammad basically got trapped in a situation where he said his wife accused. Okay, hold on. Let me just step back. Give me a second to think about this. Okay, Muhammad had someone accuse his wife of adultery, Aisha, right? Because she was left in the desert alone with that young guy. I think Diyah. Then what happened was the tongue started wagging and said that she cheated on Muhammad, right? And so he got very angry, right? And he didn't know, and he didn't even believe her, and she had to leave her husband's house and go stay with her parents, Abu Bakr and her mom, right? Now, Aisha was crying, her hair was falling out. She was so upset by this whole thing. I never cheated on you. I never cheated on you. Yet people kept saying, so then Allah came down and said, whoever accuses women of adultery and they don't bring 4 witnesses, they're to be lashed. So all these people that accused Muhammad's wife of adultery got lashed, right? and they were no longer accepted as witnesses, and they were like kind of like, you know, shunned or whatever. Right? So this is what happened. Okay, so problem solved. Yeah, Allah solved the problem. Muhammad's wife being accused of adultery. Then a man came to Muhammad and said, my wife committed adultery. And guess what Muhammad said? Do you have 4 witnesses? He's like, I swear by Allah, I saw it, and I'll chop off his head or something. And like, I'm telling the truth, and I swear by Allah, I'm telling the truth. I saw them doing it. And how am I supposed to go find 4 witnesses? Like, you want me to go, like, by the time I find 4 witnesses, they're going to be done. Like, what do you mean find 4 witnesses, right? By the way, I'm not making this up. This is like a real, I should make a video. If you want me to make a video on this, leave it in the comments, right? So then now Muhammad is kind of trapped. He's like, this guy is getting mad at me because the wife cheated on them. So then he said, okay, well, I know what to do. I'll solve this problem. So the problem is so stupid. So let's solve it with another stupid solution. The stupid solution is that you swear 4 times that you're telling the truth. So he's like, yeah, I swear by Allah that I'm telling the truth. And then she swears as well by Allah that she's telling the truth. So then he's like, okay, then we do a 5th swear. That the 5th swear is the curse of Allah is on the liar. It's called Mubahala. So it's like mutual cursing. So this is one of the situations that happened. So then now she's invoking this, right? She's like, I'm going to invoke my spiritual superpower here. I'm telling the truth. And if I'm lying, may Allah's curse be upon me. And also, and if he's lying, may Allah's curse be upon him. And I think in that cursing, she might have said, and his kids and whatever, right? His whole family or whatever. So I don't know if that's exactly what happened here, if I'm misunderstanding, but the fact is that this is like, it's like a very stupid thing, this mutual cursing thing, but it's part of the religion. And so far, they haven't, hijab hasn't accepted the challenge. Mr. Tough Guy, that's so-called telling the truth, and he swears all these text messages are fabricated. He swears they're fabricated. These are all all the text messages that are fully consistent and matching with what she's saying are fabricated. So that's one possibility. The other possibility is that she just was really angry. We don't know if his kids are adult. I don't know if he has adult kids, if they're involved in the situation, if they talk shit about her too. I don't know if, or this was just pure emotional anger coming out. Now, let's be honest. Mubahala, it doesn't do anything. Like, if you curse someone or the kids or whatever all day long, nothing's gonna happen, right? Nothing's gonna happen. Like, but this is, to them, this is like really bad. Like, she's evil, right? Like, yes, he's the one that did wrong on her, but she's the evil one because she said some nasty things. Make that make sense.
Intentions with her and was acting out of lust. Also, from what she said,
she was acting out of lust for the hijab? Hey, have you seen hijab? What do you mean lust? How is she? She's lusting. She's a single mom, and she's lusting over. Oh my God, this is like so crazy. Like this is what they
intend her. And from her asking God to curse his children and praying that he got cancer. And from her video accusing him, she claims he wasn't honest in his intentions with her and was acting out of lust. Also,
oh, sorry, maybe I misunderstood that he was acting out of lust. Let me. Yeah, okay, that was my mistake.
He wasn't honest in his intentions with her and was acting out of lust.
Okay, my bad.
Also,
I made a mistake. I thought they said she's acting out of lust. He's acting out of lust. Yeah, he's basically using his position of power to get into a relationship where there's no reciprocity. All he does is he gets his girlfriend escort experience from her, basically, and she's a single mom, and that's what he wanted from her.
From what she said,
without paying, without investing in her in any way,
she did consent to become a second wife. I'm not entirely sure whether or not they agreed upon a misyar marriage. And for those who don't know, that simply means...
Why is she like picking and choosing details that she likes that make hijab look more favorable? Why is it that she's saying, I don't know if she agreed to a misyar marriage, when she clearly said this whole thing was a lie to her? She never agreed. If you see the text messages, which are in my earlier videos, He said to her, do you want people to think you accepted a hotel marriage? Like, as if she's like a slut, right? Like, that's what he's threatening her. He threatened her with saying she's bad in bed. Why would she agree to this? Why would any woman agree to this and then get like this? Is not adding up. What she's saying makes sense. What she's doing, what Muslim mom is doing, is picking and choosing facts that she wants.
Means a marriage of convenience where both parties waive certain marital rights like living together or financial support to suit their lifestyles, which again has to be consented, of course, by both parties. From Mohammad Hijab's side, it sounds like this was the case. From the sister side, not so much.
Of course. So finally admitted it. How? If from his side it was a messiah marriage, from her side it was not. What does that tell you? He's a scoundrel.
We also saw from his video, that she sent walls of text. So it seems they were on good terms at a time they were discussing.
Yes, in 2021, 4 years ago. Keep that in mind. That was a long time ago. She's not going to talk about the recent texts. She probably didn't see them, but the recent texts are even worse. Yeah.
And let's be clear, I'm talking generally here. Muslim men who are public figures have an added responsibility to protect Muslim women.
Yes.
Especially in this day and age with everything that's going on. No one should ever misuse a position of trust or authority.
Yes.
But Muslim women, like we were just saying, also need to make smarter choices. And also the sister involved said she does Dawah. So she should have known.
She should have known from doing Dawah with Mohammad Hijab that he's a terrible scoundrel, woman abusing, woman using man. I don't understand these people. How?
Marital and financial rights, depending on which type of marriage was discussed or agreed. You don't go into a marriage going, it's fine, I'll live in a hotel. It's fine, you don't need to be a dad to my child. You don't need to pay for me. I think at times women excuse certain things because they may be enamored by a man's social standing, like we said. And again, I'm speaking in general. And you did say, you don't want to blame it on emotions or vulnerabilities, but sometimes women do think from the heart. They go in emotionally, waive all of the things that they waive and think, I'll sort that out later on down the line and you'll give me everything that I want.
Razvilt, thanks for the super chat, saying, do you think Mohammad Hijab was preemptively preparing for the scandal? He released a video saying Elon Musk was planning on blackmailing him. Yeah, it's quite possible. I don't know the timeline, but this has been going on at least 4 months. We know from the behind veils that he's been talking to Hijab for several months. He's been talking to her for several months. This conversation has been going on for a while now, right? So
how can Muslim women hold themselves accountable after consenting to marital arrangements that were not favorable in the first place? With men of fame or status that in turn results in a breakup.
Well, if it's secret, if it's temporary, that's exactly what it is. And instead of just living in the moment.
What do you mean it's temporary? I thought temporary marriages are haram in Sunni Islam. That's muta. Is she justifying prostitution? Sounds like it. This isn't even prostitution because he wouldn't even pay her money. This is literally him using her in every possible way.
You have to prepare for it. Even in a known sort of marriage where everyone knows about it, nothing's guaranteed forever anyways. And I think nowadays we always have to prepare ourselves as women, not because we're waiting for things to go wrong. Like I mentioned before when we spoke, or privately before this. It's not just about divorce or anyone cheating on you or, it breaking up. Sometimes the balance is tipped where you have to support your husband, whether there's redundancy, whether there's illness, job losses, whatever it may be. So, women can do many things where even if it's not, going out to work, there's work from home or have your own sort of status, money, have your own sort of, things that.
Yeah, okay, she's gonna talk about her single mom cope now, but I'm just gonna read some of the comments. Are these women seriously living in 2025 before toilets were invented? There was another funny comment I wanted to read, right? 1 second, I'm just gonna find it. Here we go. Not funny. Niso Nadik, catching up, but these women counselors are basically saying you have to assume even leading pious figures in Islam are probably cheating scumbags. Yes, exactly. So well said.
That are going on, just because you can actually also hold the family when it needs. And I think that it's really important financially that, you know, you have so many things within you mentally as well, where you can also have other coping strategies and mechanisms. And that's what I work with women. And I come across really tough only because I know what we were capable of. I know the strength that we have as women, especially, and as Muslim believing women practicing and doing what we do, and especially as women that majority of the time when we are single with our children, we do tend to sort of do more than what a woman and a man does together and put that on our heads. And if we're able to do that and overcome that and work, then when it comes to being in a relationship, it's not about having high standards. It's more about, you know, the fact that you have to understand when you're entering into something that it shouldn't be because you feel that there's something missing. It should be because you're coming together as a team. So you bring in something as well as the other person.
This is actually like good advice now so far. Like this is one of the only things she actually said that's good.
It's not a complete reliance on the other. And that's where also, whether even if it's trust, even if you believe someone, you have to know that they're going to make a mistake and they're going to fall, they're going to break that promise. If you're going to solely love someone because you just put all that expectation on there, just think, at the end of the day, we cannot do that. We cannot have so much on bearing on the other person, and that is like the be all and the end all of our existence. That in a way as well is wrong Islamically. Okay, we come together, you know, Islamically to procreate, to be as a team, to build a family unit, to make a difference in our home unit as well as in society and community. There's a responsibility. It is not just about getting together and having fun or doing it the halal way. There's so much more, you know, when it comes to it. I think we need to firstly understand, what is marriage, what's the purpose and why, and what is each one doing for it. And then when you ask these questions, and when I've given, you know, couples coaching and I've helped people through it when they're in that sort of first stages, or even, you know, towards the end stages, whichever stage, I've been and seen it all. And when you ask these questions, honestly, it really does make you think, because then you're not actually putting, you know, the other person only in that sort of like blame, or you're not being the victim yourself. Everyone has a part to play.
Yes.
And I do believe as well that, you know, Islam is there to test us and challenge us, whether it's in our relationships, whether it's in finance, whether it's in health, in many ways. And if this is something that is...
Islam comes to test us in relationships and finance and health. She's saying Islam actually makes our lives worse. It's testing us, right? That's crazy to hear a Muslim woman say this.
Is continuously going on, then we need to look inside as to, we can't operate in the same way and you know, get a different result when we're doing things that is constantly not serving us. Again, we have so much out there to show us in this world, in this day and age, that honestly speaking, there is hardly much excuse. And there's always someone in some...
It's interesting that she keeps saying in today's day and age, we have so much out there for us. She's almost like when she says this, don't you feel that she's acknowledging that Islam doesn't have what you need? But today's day and age, we have a lot of access. We know Western, as she mentioned, in the West, we women are outspoken and we can speak our minds and this and that, and we can work jobs and we have the ability to do all these things. It's it's saying it's a test is yet another way to excuse bad behavior.
Somewhere you can go to. There's always somewhere and somewhere you can go to. And seek that sort of guidance. And I think some people...
There's another interesting comment from Minna here that says, imagine this happened the other way around. If it was halal, the reaction would have been totally different. Meaning that, like, for example, Hijab's wife went and had a secret hotel marriage with another man. It's crazy that these people don't even think about that. Like, they don't even, in their mind, these women, they're justifying all this without realizing like how awful this feels. Like, this is like, imagine this is okay for a man to do this in Islam.
You know, they look at marriage as in it gives them that sort of wholeness, and it is to an extent, but you're whole already, you're complete already, you're doing a lot already. And I think a lot of us needs to build ourselves up by ourselves. We're not prepared for marriage.
She's keeps talking about, you know, one of the hardest things is, as a Muslim woman that has kids, is getting married. and you literally have this, like, you're limited to 20%, 25% of the human population. They all have, not all of them, but many of them have similar views about divorced women, the used goods, the trash. And so they want religions, they want younger women. And so you're kind of limited as a Muslim woman. You can't have, the other 75% of the population is not available to you. So now what we're seeing here is the cope of being a single woman and talking about how you should work and do all these things and blah, blah, blah. Why? Because like that's the only options they have. You can't depend on anyone, right? You can't depend on getting a man.
You know, we grow up, we study, we learn, we go to work, and then we go out into this big wide world. We're not having these conversations. But now we can't say that even anymore, because a lot of it's out there. So again, I'm just very surprised that these are still reoccurring, and I'm disappointed that it's actually happening.
She's surprised it's reoccurring, yet she wants him to keep it secret when it reoccurs. So listen, Mrs. Masters of Therapy or whatever you have, how do you think that it's going to change if people keep keeping these things secret and hidden, right? Allah does not change a people until they change themselves. Don't you guys say these things? Like, how is... Oh my God. I thought they trained like these people with to look at systemic root causes and to look at the structural inequalities and the system, how it's like... So with someone highly educated and not really smart, it's just like, yeah, it's just sad.
Happening because there's so much more that we have to fight against, which is against us. Honestly.
Yeah, there's so much more you have to fight, like Muslim scumbag Dawah preachers, right?
So much more. For me, there's a duty to be born and in this world more than, you know, being just married or even having kids.
Again, this is all like, I'm a single Muslim mom. I'm smart, right? I don't know what age she is, but she's not in her 60s. And I can't find anyone. So I'm just going to talk about how beautiful my life is without men.
More, and we all have ability. And some more than that. And okay, yes, I speak out publicly, but they're doing so many more than me behind the scenes. And I see it every day. Whether it's in charity, whether it's helping
and why I'm going to share that we get into, which give me a second. Please let me know if you can still see me. Is the stream connected? Am I back? Can you guys see me yet? It looks like the internet just died. Let me try something here. 1 second. You guys can see me. Oh, hello? Okay, there we go. So I think my internet just died. Can you, can everyone see me again? Okay, so you can hear me. Yeah, Allah is giving me a test again, just like he's giving Muslim women test. Hilly Flashman, thank you so much for gifting your membership. Definitely appreciate it. We've been doing a lot more on the channel, my wife and I, and we have a special announcement coming at 100,000 subscribers, which is very, very close. Really excited about that. I hope the stream is doing okay now. I'm basically on my mobile network. So yeah, let's see. Okay, so I wanted to share one more thing. I don't know if there's any more gems in this video. It seems like they're repeating themselves a lot, but let's close off with a couple of screenshots, which I think would have been interesting to show in the beginning. but I really wanted to go through this, right? And I'm going to share a different tab now. Share. Okay. So this is, oh, why is it coming so small? Hold on, let me make it bigger. Okay. So this is the screenshot of, here we go. This is Mohammad Hijab sending WhatsApp messages to Aisha. And this is what she's saying. I never understood your actions. The pain you caused me will never stop growing. If you didn't like me, why did you get me emotionally attached to you throughout these years? Meaning, like, why did you keep coming back to me? Why did you propose to me? Why did you come back to marry me? So she proposed to him. I had to deal with a lot of pain every time. I was 31 when this all started. She's probably like 34 now. 33, 34. I need love. I want to have kids. I want to be with a religious companion. I don't have the capacity to be both a man and woman, meaning to work and to provide for you, because Hijab supposedly said, I need money for Dawah, so I can't provide for you. I had great ambition to be part of the Dawah work. I trusted you, and I'm in a constant state of dua, prayer. I'll never stop my dua. You harmed me. Had you not agreed to what I asked from you, I wouldn't have married you. Had you told me that you wouldn't keep contact with my family, I wouldn't have got them involved. This team has been like a family. The Dawah team has been like a family to me since I came to this country. Before I ever met you, I was ready to do anything to be a part of it. Right? Was I a wife to you? What kind of question? And then he's saying, do you want him to think that you are the kind of woman who wants to have hotel marriages? So this is Hijab now threatening her to ruin her reputation. Do you want that reputation? And she said, Muhammad, I never accept hotel marriage. And then he says, I have all the evidence more than you know. And she's like, I don't mind, right? She's saying the truth is otherwise. He's saying, are you desperate? She's like, Muhammad, what are you doing, right? And we went through a more detailed analysis of these messages on my other video, my wife and I. But like you can see, she said, you're making me lose my mind. He's like, say sorry for going to another man and speaking my personal business to him. So she's trying to get help, and he's getting mad at her because guess what? Narcissists hate it when you basically get help from anyone, because they want control over the situation, right? They want all the power, right? Say sorry, arrogant woman, leave me alone. She's saying, is this Islamically wrong? He's saying, yes, fatwa, not fatwa without a reason, right? So basically, he's accusing her of betraying his secrets, which is basically that she wanted to use him, right? And he wanted to use her, sorry. And he's mad that people know about it now, right? People means that guy Salman probably, right? And then she said, I never spoke in public. And basically Salman went public with all of this, right? And he's like, yeah, if you do, I could simply say you couldn't sexually satisfy me, right? And then it sounds like she said something like, I take back my apologizing. I don't know. I can't see that last little message. And then there's another screenshot that wasn't posted here, which he keeps calling her liar, liar, liar. You liar, you liar. So anyways, I think that concludes what I wanted to talk about. All of those people that joined the stream in the beginning that was accusing me of, accusing her of being mentally insane, accusing me of spreading misinformation, like this whole situation, it's all consistent. What she's saying is matching what we're seeing. These two Muslim women that we're talking about are also assuming that it's true, right? They're also assuming that this is actually what's happening. These two women. It's interesting that some of the comments on this video are actually against them. And I think that, yeah, Milahan disappeared. She was running her mouth earlier. These people showed up at the beginning of the stream and now they don't want to engage anymore. But at the end of the day, I think this is gonna come to more is gonna come out. We're gonna see, hopefully this is a happy ending and he's gonna admit the truth that this was my mistake. I shouldn't have done this. But the problem is he's put himself in a corner saying, I swore by Allah. I swear by Allah, this is not true. He hasn't done the mutual cursing game yet, so maybe not. But anyhow, thanks for watching, everyone. This has been a fun live stream. I haven't done a lot of live streaming, but I'm glad to be getting back into it. And appreciate all of you guys and gals and all of the great comments and live chats and all that. Really appreciate it. This was an excellent conversation, or I should say dialogue, one-way dialogue between me and them. It was a good response. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here for the channel. And for those of you who are on Patreon and continue to support, really appreciate all of you, and also the YouTube memberships, and also people that are sending money via PayPal. My wife is taking a bigger role on the channel, and we're really excited to see how that goes. So far, it's going amazing. I started at 30,000 subs like a year ago. Now it's like 96,000, 97,000, 97, I think. So getting there. If you're new here, please do subscribe. And thanks for watching. This is your friendly ex-Muslim Abdullah Samir signing out.